I guess we can call this a viewer-submitted game of StarCraft 2. So what I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg that was sent over by the man right here in the top left-hand corner of Goresvin. Playing with the red Terran SCVs, we are looking inside of the main base of Flotosus the Mind's Eye. Now, this man is better known under the nickname of Florencio. I used to cast many of his games back in the day, but I haven't really seen any of his replays in, well, probably about a year or so. So I'm excited to find out exactly what strategies he's been cooking up. His opponent in this Diamond League match, playing here with the blue Zerg drones, he goes by the name of Cicada? Kikada? Cisada? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyways, we've got ourselves a SCV already on the other side of the map. This looks like an engineering bay block, which is something you do in Terran versus Protoss. Generally speaking, yeah, okay, especially if it's gonna be a pool first. This is not a strategy we really see played against the Zerg players, but apparently this is something that Florencio has been messing around with. Real quick, in case you're unfamiliar, he really does like going for his strange strategies and his strange build orders, and they are a lot of fun to watch. That being said, this particular replay, I guess I can show you the duration of it. It's 57 minutes long, and this is still a Diamond League match, so I may very well end up fast forwarding a bunch of parts of this game, because I can imagine 57 minutes of Diamond League TVZ is gonna get a little bit crazy. Anyways, what is Cicada? I guess, hold up, I'm gonna ask Google.
Cicada.
Cicada? I'm thinking it's one of those bugs that, yeah, it is, okay. I just looked at Google Images, sorry. Cicada? I feel like that is a very American pronunciation. This is how you would pronounce it in Dutch.
Cicada.
Cicada. Let's go with that, guys. Anyways, right, I was wondering what he's doing right here with this drone that is currently moving across the map. This doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Are we gonna go double engineering bay block? Well, Zerk is gonna go for one more. We should have sent out two. We should have sent out two scouting SCVs early on, or I guess blocking SCVs early on. Cicada, though, decides to go for a hatchery right now on the other side of the map. So we've got ourselves a hatchery into a hatchery after the spawning pool in the gas. This game is already off to a flying start. I'm not exactly sure what to expect. So this is just a regular ladder game, by the way. Bunker coming up in the back of the main base. What is this bunker for? What's the point of that bunker? That's gotta be a misplay, no? I actually have no idea what that bunker would be good for here. I'm actually... Okay, we're gonna go for like what seems to be our fourth engineering bay in this game. We've got ourselves a command center right now as well, right next to the hatchery. Okay, so Cicada has seen this as well. Mr. Florencio has already seen the hatchery too, but I'm not exactly sure how this is gonna work out. A Reaper is coming across the map right now. Roach Warren, however, is about to finish up. I'm assuming the plan here for our Zerg is to try and build roaches on the other side of the map. Maybe I shouldn't have shown you the replay duration, because this game feels like it's over within the next 3 minutes. I actually expected this would be a bit of a slower game, but maybe that's not what we've got. Alright, Marine is gonna start gunning down his OV, and that's actually big. Super important for the Zerg to maintain this. Hatchery, by the way, is gonna get cancelled by the Zerg, mostly, I guess, because of this CC. Now, yeah, Florencio is gonna keep this one around. Roaches are coming up, but because that Overlord ended up dying... There you go. I was gonna say, there's no way that is not going to die. Zerg actually had to remake a few OVs already, so this push, it's actually kind of slow. Planetary Fortress in the... Planetary Fortress in the main base. Another command center coming up. Bunker, I mean, it's slowly being filled by Marines. They're just popping out one at a time. At this point, there have been way more structures than there ever have been units in this game, which is kind of ironic. Reaper here is hanging out in the middle of the, well, fourth base, I guess, of what would normally be the fourth base, as Florencio decides to fly off that command center to better pastures. Apparently, we're not going to mind the center of the map, but we will still try to go for a proxy command center right over here in the top right-hand corner of the map. Okay, yeah, so this roach push is incredibly slow. One of the reasons why the Overlord is important is because you actually want it to rain biles right over here against, well, the depot and the barracks and everything, right? And you need high ground vision. So right now, Cicada is going to be able to do that without exposing his units to the high ground. That being said, nice bile over there. That being said, there wasn't really anything that was going to shut him down in the first place. He could have just walked up the ramp. That's exactly what these roaches are going to do right now. The planetary fortress in the main base is going to be a bit of a surprise, though. You can still go around. So if you have like a Ravager right over here, you can still deal a lot of damage here to all of those SCVs. It's just important. Don't run your units into... Don't do it. Don't do the... No, run away. Nice grenade, actually. That roach ended up dying because of the grenade. But yeah, this is the right call. Cicada going around. And he should be able to just occupy this main base and, well, kill most of the SCVs. There is a Cyclone coming up over here. Reactor is gone, but when the reactor is gone while the thing is still building, the Cyclone itself is going to finish. He just won't be able to queue up more until he actually adds on another one of those tech labs. And there's another one actually building right now in that factory a little further north. I actually think going after the factory here is a really dumb mistake here by the Terran. Or, sorry, by the Zerg. You should really not be trying to shut this down. You should really be going for... Like, if you have to choose, guaranteed damage is always the right call in StarCraft 2. Like, if you don't know that you're going to be able to get something, which in this case he's probably not going to get, the factory, I mean, as long as Terran keeps repairing it, it really shouldn't go down. I mean, it might. Okay, now you just got to repair it here in the end. You should pretty much always be aiming for guaranteed damage. In the meantime, by the way, Lair is done for the Zerg, and we're essentially going for a one-base Spire. I think he actually could have killed like a dozen workers here. Yeah, he ends up killing 7. He certainly could have killed at least 12. We do have a creep tumor now as well, because there's actually... We could do so much more damage. Cicada, go! We gotta go, dude. Yeah, no. This is though what Florencio does in a lot of his games, right? So he creates chaos, and usually the opponents are like, huh? What am I supposed to do against this? This doesn't really make any sense. And usually that's where players kind of, yeah, make some mistakes and the game becomes a little tricky. Turns out... Cyclones are a pretty good counter to spine crawlers. Not really something I have ever said before, but I don't think this really happens in a whole lot of games of StarCraft 2, but Cyclones are pretty good counters against spine crawler rushes. Today I learned. Okay. So yeah, Brenda here, very brave. Brave Brenda, that's what her name was. I say was because she's already dead. She just doesn't know it yet. There's no way for Brenda to get out. Rest in pieces, brave Brenda. Please pay your respects in the comment section of this video. Burrow coming up before Zergling speed, right around the same time that the Spire finished up. 18 drones are now also building. How did he even get 18 drones to build at this point if he's... I guess he's using the drones over here too. I was gonna say, I think the maximum amount of larvae you can have on a hatchery is, I want to say 13. Is that correct? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12... No. 15? I'm not sure. There is a maximum amount of larva though that you can have on a single base, and producing that many drones off of a single hatchery would be kind of difficult to pull off. Okay, now the Cyclones are starting to move around. Little update right here on that base in the top right-hand corner. We have some proper macro going on here, queuing up as many SCVs as is possible. So that Spire didn't really achieve anything. Cicada has got 600 gas, but really no way for him to do much, and I honestly don't mind him not committing to it, because the problem at this point is the fact that he's got, well, 4 Cyclones to deal with. And those Cyclones, I mean, they're not amazing counters to Mutas, but they're definitely not bad, unless the Mutas are in overwhelming numbers. This is not going to work, though. We just need a whole lot of Zerglings. Nice micro here coming out of Florencio, at least, trying to wiggle those units away, and he is indeed pulling back the weakened ones. Cleans up all of the Zerglings. It's a Zergling, Lester. It's actually a 3-syllable word. Did you know that? The very first cinematic from StarCraft 1. Where you have this guy going out on a patrol, I guess, with his sergeant, and you know, he's going around. It's a Zergling, Lester. Or it's a Zergling, Lester. Smaller tap is Zerg. It's a 3-syllable word. I think we should bring it back. No more Zerglings. We have Zerglings. I actually like the sound of it. Anyways, eventually the Cyclones do decide to go back home. Now, 19 kills, 5 kills, and 5 kills. This guy, that's definitely the Sarge of this party. They've decided to drive back home because of this hatchery here in the natural that still needs to be dealt with. Zerg at this point has seen those command centers up north, but he's not really doing anything about it. I think his plan is to try and shut down the Terran player from the inside out. The creep spread here is still quite nice though. Yeah, lovely work here. And you can see that Florencio is struggling as far as the macro goes. 1,600 minerals at this point banked for the Terran player, but a lot of that is due to the fact that he's got, yeah, no gases taken here until just now, so he just hasn't really had enough. After the Spire, which we've made no use of, we're now gonna go into a Hydralisk Den. Place your bets, will we make use of the Hydralisk Den? I am not convinced that we will, because while the unit is not necessarily terrible, you do need a bit of an economy to actually be able to support it. So how in the world is this game going on for another 45 minutes, guys? How is this? Oh, yeah, nice surround. How is this game gonna go on for another... Okay, so more factories building here for Florencio. Honestly, gases here are gonna be top priority. Yeah, he's just getting so many minerals because he's got so much mineral income compared to the amount of gas, right? So if he would improve that, I think life would be a little bit better. Eventually, though, the hatchery does go down. These drones are gonna be the last remaining survivors of a hatchery that once was. Cicada is trying to just... well, drone up at this point, building hatcheries on his own side of the map. That was an attempt, but didn't really work out all too well. I actually don't really mind the idea, though, of going for, okay, Mutalisks. I was saying that right before I saw 9 or so missile turrets coming up in total. That is a whole lot. Flo hasn't actually seen the Spire. That's funny, because the Mutas could have been dealing a lot of damage. Now that the Cyclones are gone, they certainly could have done a lot of damage. This Spire has been done for like 5 minutes at this point, and he hasn't made a single Mutalisk. Or a single Mutalisk, rather, and that is a bit of a shame. We've got so many minerals, though. Yeah, so many minerals and gas. I think we should just make them. We do have the Cyclone improvement coming up, too. So this is a strange version of Battle Mech. We've got ourselves a Raven together with Hellions and Cyclones, but honestly, again, we've got more infrastructure than actual units. This is actually a theme in Florencio's games, I've noticed. The man prefers structures over humans. And I don't know what that says about a person. I feel like there's some sort of analysis you can do about that. But in a lot of games, Flo will literally have more buildings than he will have units. Alright, 12 mutas are coming up. I don't mind it. I think 12 mutas are certainly the right call here. I mean... it would have been better if he knew that they're, you know, maybe in this particular case, it's a little difficult to justify. But since he doesn't know that there's any of those missile turrets set up, I think 12 mutas can certainly catch the opponent off guard. This is an amount that can certainly start contesting missile turrets as well, but you do have to micro the mutas. You have to make sure that you actually don't just fly them into the turrets. We're flying them into the turrets. Yeah, no. You gotta make sure you clump them up together so you can actually start working on one of those turrets at a time. Now, one Hydralisk comes up. So if you voted no earlier, I'm sorry. Hydras are coming, and Lurker Den now also, well, at least soon to be, on the production tab. Excuse me. Okay. So 10 drones fire up right now as well. I think this might be the moment where the game slows down a little bit, because it has been slowing down already for a little while. Cicada flying into the opponent's main base right now. He will find the Cyclones. I wouldn't mind seeing some auto turrets or maybe even an anti-armor missile. That wouldn't necessarily... Actually, I don't think that really does anything. We have Cyclones. Since the Cyclone... Does anti-armor missile help out with Cyclone damage? I guess not. The lock-on ability is supposed to be a spell, right? It's effectively a spell, and it probably doesn't... I'm gonna vote no. This is one of those small details in StarCraft 2 that is actually kind of interesting. I found out, for example, earlier today too, even after playing this game for 13 years right now, there are still things that I don't quite realize. I watched this little highlight clip from Rotterdam's Twitch stream, where, I think it was actually on Gressman as well, he was lifting one of his opponent's immortals in the main base of the opponent. So here's the immortal, here's a bunch of phoenixes, they're lifting the immortal, and at that point, Protoss decides to recall the immortal. It turns out that the graviton lift persists through a recall. I was like, huh, I had no idea. I guess if the nexus that he would be recalling to would be further away, that the unit would actually appear on the ground. That's the only thing that makes sense. Yeah, that certainly would be the case. But apparently, if it is a nexus in range, because how many times do you see a nexus recalling to units that are already right next to the nexus? It makes no sense. Yeah, apparently it does persist, which is kind of funny. 99% useless fact with Lowko. Step aside, Fear Dragon. I got this. New series. Okay, so Lurker Den here is available, but again, he doesn't really have that many. Yeah, he's got a couple lurkers here, but he doesn't really have that much gas to properly support all of this. Especially if we don't saturate this. We do have a 4th hatchery coming up right now, but a lot of the units here that Cicada are producing, or that he is producing, they are fantastic off a 4 base economy, but on just 6 gas geysers, difficult to get much done. This is apparently the moment, though, where Florencio decides to go for an attack. He hasn't seen lurkers yet, I don't think. Well, now he sees a spine coming out of the ground. Yeah, with lurkers repositioning here, especially once the seismic spines upgrade finishes up, there is a very good shot at, well, cleaning up all these Terran units. Widow Mines are annoying and all, but there's not really that much. He's even going into a Greater Spire. Cicada, I don't know if you're ever going to be watching this cast. I think a lot of the decisions you're making aren't necessarily bad here. We just need a lot more income to be able to support it. Spire, Hydras, Lurkers, Greater Spire, all the upgrades, Hive Tech off of 6, well, maybe 5 and 2/3 of a... It's not enough. We just don't have enough gas income. At the very least, though, this is going to be a difficult Zerg player here to kill. And that is, I guess, the main goal right here for Cicada. He knows very well here that this is an army that wants to continuously attack, right? That's usually where these type of units really shine, when they're continuously fighting back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. In this particular instance, yeah, with lurkers out on the battlefield already, that's going to be difficult to pull off. I actually think that the tech switch here to Brute Lords is not particularly great, though. More lurkers probably would just simply be better. Rather than going into lurkers, I think it might be, or rather than going into Brute Lords here, I think it might be a good goal as well to go into Vipers, but that is a pretty tricky unit to control. Yeah, not a whole lot you can do here as a Terran player. You can harass it, but it's very difficult to break these siege-top lurkers. Good transfusion right there as well by the Zerg player. One of the Cyclones is in range of the hatch, but I think just more lurkers would easily shut this down. Another command center coming up north. Queen even decides to pop on the ground to shut down that lock-on ability. You love to see it. And I guess we'll be seeing Brute Lords here next, right? Cicada has got a whole lot of resources. There we go. He's making a few units of each. 6 Mutas, 7 Lurkers. Now we got 5 Brutes coming up as well. We have got about a similar amount of Queens. Nice harassment right here from the low ground, but... yeah, it's not gonna really achieve that much. I think actually Lurkers would be best supplemented here with Vipers for sure. Okay, Widow Mines try to burrow right here on the low ground to maybe try and get a shot off on that high ground, but it's going to be difficult to pull off. We can start dropping a few units, I suppose, so there is indeed a siege tank available, but that is also the moment where those Brute Lords show up, and you know what? Yeah, those Widow Mines here are dealing a whole lot of friendly fire, not what the original plan was. Vipers would have achieved a very similar thing, but hey, Brute Lords also do manage to push back this army just fine. Immediately though, and this is what the golden ticket for Terran players is, right? As soon as you see a few Brute Lords, that immediately means you can start up the Thor production. My god, the macro here, even though I haven't seen a whole lot of Florencio games over the last year, I see not a whole lot has changed in that department. Queuing up so many units in all of those factories. That doesn't count as macro, lads. Okay, in case you're wondering, yeah, you may have a lot of money in the bank. Yeah, you may, you know, hear StarCraft commentators shouting in the back of your mind that you should spend your money. Queuing up units does not count, okay? We're not gonna count that as good macro. Just because you spend all of your resources there does not mean that and he didn't even really spend all of his resources. Anyways, he's gonna be pushing forward here. Will he at least get the hatch? We've got a lot of transfusions available, but the Queens do not actually get that down in time. All of the units, though, seem like they're gonna pay the price. At the very least, the Raven lives for a little bit longer, and a few of these Cyclones do manage to get out. Lurkers here, in the meantime, up north, trying to get a little bit of work done as well. But now Big Daddy Thor is out. One thing that is severely lacking in this game is upgrades. Neither player really has any upgrades. We've got +1 missile here for the Zerg, which is nice and all, but when you're playing with Lurkers and Hydras, you should definitely be aiming for something a little bit better than that. And the same can be said right here for the Terran player. Honestly, these Thors, I mean, they are strong, but at this point in the game, they could easily get overwhelmed just by, like, adrenal-glanced Zerglings. Once they get to +3 armor, I actually don't mind it so much. The Thors are actually very tanky, but in this particular instance, I do believe that, well, just Lings and adrenal glands would do incredibly well. This is apparently the moment where we're gonna go for the second Lurker upgrade. I didn't quite realize we didn't have it yet. Brute Lords and Lurkers, though, working together here. They kind of fulfill very similar roles, which is why it's a bit strange to see them both together. Do we have enough to overwhelm all of this? I do not believe so, no. The Thors at this point are out, and once those Brute Lords disappear, I don't think you can fight at me. You can try, but the Thors are gonna absolutely rip apart the Brutes. Yep. They have a lot of good range, right? A few more Thors coming in from the side right now as well. Okay, we have spent all of our money. A little bit of queuing. Actually, a lot of bit of queuing here. I guess maybe some command centers here too. That definitely does help. Anyhow. More Brute Lords coming up and more Lurkers. I actually think if Cicada decided to focus a little bit more on one particular unit composition, he would be in a fantastic spot. Just Roach, Hydra, Viper would do incredibly well. But maybe some Zerglings for support as well. Here's the Lynx coming in though. Do we have Adrenal Glands at this point? We do not. But you can see, yeah, without those armor upgrades, the Thors just absolutely melt. More Brute Lords morphing in right above the Thor. Talk about toxicity. And at this point, I think we can start overwhelming this. Alright. Lurkers probably need to position themselves a little bit further forward. There we go. I don't mind it at all. That's gonna be another free Thor because the Zerglings are not gonna allow it to escape. Nicely done. Okay, yep. And I think this base is basically given up on right now. It's been mining for a little while, but the SCVs are looking for a new mineral line to harvest, and they're gonna be mining the base right to the left of this, which makes this entire fight very, very nice right here for Cicada. Okay. This base up here is actually in a little bit of trouble as well. I think that Zerglings could easily start working here as well. Cicada is taking as many bases as he possibly can afford. I'm not exactly sure where all of these drones are currently headed. I guess they want to split up and mine the base in the bottom of the map, which is fair enough. We just need more gas here, right? If you just commit to a whole lot of these units, it's going to be incredibly hard for the Mind's Eye here to actually deal with this army. Crazy game though, especially for Diamond League standards, right? I mean, I've been casting a lot of games from Home Story Cup over the last couple of days, and obviously some of those matches are absolutely ridiculous. But generally speaking, these games are not played very often in Diamond League, I've found. I mean, no, the Thors are just too powerful here. We do have Vipers coming up though, so apparently our Zerg is not necessarily anti-spellcaster. I've done a lot of coaching over the years in StarCraft 2, and I know a lot of Diamond League Zergs are horrified of playing spellcasters, because it requires a second hotkey, and in general, they just are a flimsy unit, right? Be it Infestors, be it Vipers. I mean, ideally, you get both Infestors and Vipers, right? But that is an incredibly hard unit composition to control, especially when you have to control everything else as well. I think going for Vipers, though, is an excellent choice, especially if you're going to go for Lurkers. Hydra Lurker Viper with maybe dumping all of your leftover minerals into Zerglings is awesome. It's incredibly powerful. Anyhow. Here comes the Mech army once again. Why do we not have upgrades? It's starting to bother me a little bit here. Why do we not have armory upgrades when we have this many Mech units? We've got so much money in the bank. We're queuing up so many units as well. It would just be amazing. Vipers, though, not really achieving a whole lot here. Okay, well, they are going to be able to throw down some blinding clouds, I suppose, but that doesn't last long enough. Nah, the Thors just attack move straight through this army. And this game seems over. Am I mistaken? How does this game still go on for at least half an hour? If we repair these Thors right now and we spend our money at least a little bit. Oh no. Adrenal Glands is coming up right now. Zerg is just gonna go for Lynx here. Zerglings are not actually a good counter against Thors. As funny as it sounds, they're not particularly great against Thors, especially when Hellbats are mixed in. SCVs, by the way, just decided to go home. They didn't actually repair it. But you can see right here, yeah, even unupgraded Lynx still get absolutely... Or sorry, unupgraded Thors here. Are still pretty good right here against those Zerglings. I mean, it's not like the Zerglings have any upgrades. How is this game going on for a whole lot longer, guys? Unless the replay timer is fake, and the winner of this particular game is just sort of sitting there with the victory screen, and the last half hour of this replay is bait, I don't know. I don't see how this game is going to go on for that much longer. Now, props right here to Cicada. He's done a pretty good job injecting. So he does actually have a lot of larvae to just overwhelm all of those Thors, I suppose. Adrenal Glands is going to finish up eventually. I wouldn't mind seeing... actually, this goes for anybody in like, probably below Master League and maybe even below Grandmaster League. Oftentimes, you are perfectly justified to make 3 upgrade structures. I know it's very uncommon for a Protoss player to make 3 forges. I know for Terrans, you will not see a whole lot of upgrade structures most of the time. Same for Zerg, but you're perfectly justified to make 3 evolution chambers when you're flooding a little bit of cash. Hellbat's joining in right now. No blue flame upgrade on them. Zergling getting the full wraparound over here. Cicada tries to clean this up, and he will clean it up. I'm actually gonna show you guys what this fight would look like if at this point Terran would be maxed out, okay? I'm gonna go back here for just a second and we're gonna count the amount of units that we've got. Okay, so let me just write this down, and then after the game, I'm gonna go ahead and open up the unit tester so we can see what the difference in upgrades truly is. So we have 9 Thors, 2 Hellbats, and I guess 1 landed Viking. I mean, some of the Thors are at low hit points, so I guess what I'm gonna say is 8 Thors. 8 Thors going up against 100 Zerglings. Okay, I've just written that down. We'll get back to this particular fight after this game, okay? I'll open it up in a unit tester, which is a really lovely tester that you can use to, yeah, simulate these engagements. There's a bunch of queens as well coming in, but they're not really doing that much work. We'll just try and at the very least recreate some of this fight so we can see exactly what it would have looked like if upgrades were indeed done. So the Zerglings did have Adrenal. Okay. Eventually, a very brave Viking pilot did end up going down. And both players are going to have to macro up once again. Now, I think this is the moment where I'm going to fast forward the game a little bit. Zerg is going to go for a little counterattack here. Okay. This hatchery, Terran hatchery, should not be up on the floor. Should be up in the sky, or down in the sky, I guess, if I want to stay loco grammatically correct. Okay, we are going to be able to repair that one back up to full, I guess, and it should stay alive. Still no blue flame upgrade either. Both players here are so allergic to upgrades. I guess one of the reasons, though, why Cicada, nice Widowmine hit there, is not going for so many upgrades in this particular game is because he's been so split up in his unit composition, right? He's been going Mutas and Hydras and Lurkers and Brute Lords. He's getting a little bit of everything. Lings as well as a load of Queens. He's been getting a little bit of everything, and he doesn't really have one concise unit composition. One problem you can sometimes run into when you're, for example, upgrading Missile, right? You're upgrading Missile for your Roaches and Hydras and your Lurkers and all that. You kind of feel like you cannot actually make Lings and Banes anymore. Which is fair enough, I suppose. Now, this is nice little bit of bait right here by Florencio. Setting up the Widow Mines right over here on the high ground. Brute Lord, or sorry, Mutas. They wish they were Brute Lords here. They get baited into the mines, and Florencio does clean them up once again. And now we're switching into Hydras. Okay. Cicada is going to need a little bit more gas here. Base up north, pretty much mined out. There's 6 gas remaining here. For some reason, the last 6 gas out of this refinery, just 2 trips, they were not actually properly mined. Ghost Academy's coming up right now for Florencio. Interesting. I mean, Ghost Mech is, of course, fantastic. We've got 5... Yeah, I actually think 5 factories is alright. At this point, you could definitely go up to like 8 factories. You just need to stay on top of all of the production, right? That's the main thing. Do we even have a barracks? How many barracks do we have? We've got 1 barracks. Yeah, okay, this is the only one. So if you want to go for some ghost production, I think we're... Usually what you see in Terran vs. Zerg is at least 3 barracks added on at this point. So you have like 3 barracks or so in total, so maybe 2 added on. But that would allow you to make a bunch of ghosts all at the same time. Random siege tank here up north. I actually really like that Cicada hasn't been throwing his units away into that planetary fortress, because that could be a massive problem. Cyclones once again harassing this base, but loads of links are coming up. Why are we not making upgrades, guys? I cannot come up with a single reason why we're not making upgrades. Evo Chamber, Armory, Engineering, but all of those upgrades were so sick. You know what someone pointed out, by the way, in the comment section recently, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Shouldn't the mechanical upgrades be coming out of the engineering bay? Like a structure called the engineering bay? And shouldn't the biological units, the infantry, shouldn't their upgrades be coming out of the armory? I was like, huh, how did we ever settle on naming the structures the way that they are? It almost feels like they're flipped upside down. It doesn't really make any sense. Yeah, that viewer made a very, very good comment. I've got a feeling that the bio unit should be getting all of their stuff from the armory. That just makes sense. Anyways, Ghost Academy, by the way, is now getting himself a tactical nuke. The other Ghost Academy is currently researching the personal cloaking, but there's no ghosts out yet, so that makes this all a little bit tricky. Zork trying to break through all of this, though. The Mind's Eye currently forced to micro backwards to the safety of that natural planetary. There's a whole lot of planetary set up over here as well, and yeah, that's gonna make it difficult. There's no Hydra range or Hydra speed rudder? Oh no, we don't have the Hydra speed upgrade. These units are so freaking slow. These players are allergic to upgrades. That's the only thing, man. I mean, it is hay fever season over here in the Netherlands, at least right now, so maybe that's an allergy I'm just not familiar with myself. Could certainly be. We're once again gonna go for the little Widowmine bait over here. Do you think Zork is gonna fall for that trap a second time in a row? I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Really? We're trying to ambush the Terran. Since there's no Hellbats in the mix, I actually don't mind it. Without Hellbats, it's actually quite difficult for the Terran player to, yeah, clean up just mass Zorkling. We once again have a switch back towards Hydras and Lurkers, so one Lurker on the production tab. This guy is gonna make all the difference. I think that's the only unit that's got upgrades in this game. Yeah, so, you know, if you're gonna make one unit here, I think the Lurker is probably not a bad call. Just a few more than one would even be better, though. Okay. New base, acquired right here by the Terran player. One Lurker to rule them. One Lurker to find them, and in the darkness bind them. He does, oh my god, okay. Kill him, Isildur! He did end up getting sniped right there, but he did kill 2 Cyclones. So I guess that was worthwhile. Fusion Core, coming up right now for Florencio. He's thinking, yo, what unit haven't I made yet? Other than, you know, biological ones. I guess we had a couple Marines and a Reaper in this game, but, you know, I guess we're now going into Ghosts as well. We've had most of the biological units as well. Battle Cruisers. Battle Cruisers are not out on the battlefield yet. The Marines, by the way, are still in that bunker, tucked away behind the main base mineral line, or what used to be the... Still don't know what they're doing there. Not entirely sure what their purpose was, but there must be a game where that would have been relevant. Ghosts are starting to deploy their tactical nukes. There's one. Okay. Coming up at the bottom of the map. One over here in the middle of the map as well. Zork does find the one in the middle of the map. What about this bottom base, though? Does not see it. That's gonna be some dead larvae over here. Okay. 80 drones have been killed here by Florencio. This lad over here, 24 kills in total already. Not bad at all. I'm assuming, though, that some of that was the larva. 2 more tactical nukes coming up. Blue Flame, finally researching. Florencio, I'm sure you're gonna be watching this cast at some point. I need you to take one of those, like, sticky pieces of paper, you know? And I want you to write down Armory in all uppercase, right? Couple exclamation marks behind it, right? Just put down whatever you need to, right? And then stick it to the bottom of your monitor. Genuinely, it would make all of these units, like, all jokes aside, it would make all of this so much better. This game, it actually would have been over. The Thor attack would have won you the game. Okay, anyways, I actually don't know if this is gonna be a Florencio win. You can see that Cicada is starting to fall apart a little bit, right? Keep in mind that this is a game where Florencio is playing these matches all day, every day, and Cicada has got 10,000 resources in the bank with 83 supply in total. I think the man is starting to be, a little tired. Stamina is a real thing in StarCraft 2, man. If you've ever tried playing a game of SC2, you'll have realized how incredibly exhausting this game can be mentally, and I think at this point, well, mentally the Zork player seems defeated. He's making 7 drones. He has so much money in the bank. Oh, +2! +2! That's amazing. Okay, we're starting up roaches. Just roaches and hydras. I don't hate it, man. Roaches, hydras, lurkers. Maybe if you're feeling fancy, a viper or 2, but honestly, you really don't need it. Just stick to the basics. Okay, battle cruisers are coming out. Another tactical nuke is flying across the map. It's gonna go after the static defense this time around because, well, this has been blocking. Oh, you see the shadow right there? This has been blocking it. The ghost here, the Terran, yeah, just barely out of vision range, and he does end up killing all of those spores there as well. Additional kills right now as the, okay. The Reaper is gonna go down with 33 kills to his name. Absolute Terran legend. Threw his gun away before he, fell to the floor, but... We still have the Zerg ambush set up and ready to go, but now with Blue Flame done, I don't really see exactly how that is going to help out. Assuming that Terran is going to be marching around the map with at least a few of those units, you know, mixed into his main composition. Okay, Battlecruiser. Hanging out on the left side of the map. I've sped up the game a little bit again. That's a medevac. I don't know why we're making a medevac. We've got a little bit of harassment on the right side of the map, apparently. Fair enough. More tactical nukes here at the front. Oh no. Cicada. He's been putting out so many fires for such a long time right now that he's starting to fall apart a little bit. Additional units end up dying. We're gonna now go into Infestors because that's the only unit he hasn't really produced yet in this game, other than maybe Swarm Hosts and Ultralisks. Is there another unit he hasn't made? Banelings. We haven't seen Banelings in this game. I think that's actually it. There's probably at least one more unit that he hasn't made, but... Tunneling Claws coming up, okay. This is another ghost, man. When you see his gun on his back right here, and you see him running around with his fists, it means that he has got a nuke queued up. There it is. He's a man doing business. And that, well, is going to finish up this hatchery for sure. You can hear it. Alright. Gressven, whatever we were fighting over right now, it no longer seems to be worthwhile. If we were fighting over a planet called Gressven, or a space platform called Gressven, or whatever, radiation is insane now, dude. This place is no longer habitable anyway, so what even is the point? Corruptors are coming up. I guess we're back into Broodlords, or maybe he just wants to snipe the Thors? Sniping the Thors would not be a bad idea. You know what else would not be a bad idea? Upgrades! Upgrades! Make the armory and the engineering bay and the evo chambers and even the spires. Just get all of the upgrades! Okay, I'm done. I'm not gonna mention them again. Unless I see one of them going for upgrade. Okay, I'm done. Eventually, the Thors indeed will get shut down, and I've got a feeling that indeed, yep, those units here are not going to sustain themselves for much longer. Hey, by the way, Florencio sent me 2 more replays. Should I have a look at those as well after this one? I think I'm gonna have a look at those as well. Those games are a little bit shorter from what I saw. Fungal growth over here. I feel like not much has happened though over the last 5 minutes. Even though we've had loads and loads of nukes, there's another nuke coming down. The main problem here for Zerg is that he hasn't really had a counter here against those battlecruisers for a bit. Now this battlecruiser is super dead. We do have a bunch of corruptors, but I mean, like, especially against mass BC, it's gonna be difficult to get much done. At this point though, yeah, there's actually 2 battlecruisers on the production tab, but none of them available anymore. Zerg is actually out of money, believe it or not. He's got a load of gas, but he's got 10 workers. Where are all the workers at? Just this base over here? Yeah. Terran's currently at 56 SCVs, slowly but surely mining out the map. And again, I ask myself, how does this game go on for such a long time again? Whoa, guys! Guys! It's happening. It took about 38 minutes, but armories are done. Credit where credit is due. I would have liked to see them 35 minutes ago. Maybe that's a little extreme, but would have been nice. Once again, synchronized nuke in here at the bottom of the map. There's no mining going on here anymore because the drones are a little bit further up north. That's not a group of larvae going down. That's not a group of larvae being super dead. Cicada has mustered up a pretty formidable army, though. Problem is for him that he doesn't know how many battlecruisers there are, right? So I actually think this will be okay for him because there are going to be 4 battlecruisers. But if Terran had switched away from BC production altogether after losing the first few, I think this could have actually been a disaster. Now you can see he's all army hotkeying this. So I don't really know how we're ever going to fight a Terran army when, well, we're controlling everything in one big ball. Do we have Neural Parasite? Yeah, we do have Neural Parasite, so maybe that's the reason why those infestors are burrowed underground. You know, one thing that could make this really difficult for the Zerg is if one of those tactical nukes connects with the entire army. If we're moving everything in one big ball and you've been dealing and you're fatigued from all of the nukes that have been flying around the map, there definitely is a chance that you will miss a nuke on the entire main army. There's a load of queens available too, by the way. They should really be brought to the front as well if we're wanting to fight this maxed out Terran. When we're down this much in supply and Zerg once again decides to retreat. Thor's over here, okay, fighting this one out. Considering the split map scenario and the fact that Terran doesn't actually have all of their bases taken, this can still be a little bit dangerous right here for Florencio, but Zerg just doesn't really have that many minerals anymore remaining, and I think he must be kind of tired here. More and more of these stores are gonna go down. Yamato cannon though? Okay, we have mass lurkers, 17 lurkers coming up. Yamato cannon right now also on the production tab, and this is apparently the moment where the lurkers do decide to commit. There you go. Finally, we have some commitment. That was a very ambitious little neural parasite there by that infestor. I appreciate the effort, but I don't think that was really going to achieve much as it was already dead. Those ghosts are going to go down as well. Problem is, there are so many, battle cruisers. 2 more are coming up. Weapon refit, the Yamato gun is going to be fantastic because you're going to be able to basically take like 6 of those corruptors out of the equation in one big hit. Vipers are coming up. Really? I mean, I like the ambition, don't get me wrong, but this is such a unit composition, such a hard unit composition to control already, that I don't really see exactly how Cicada is ever going to find a good way to micro all of this. Well, he's going to try. Neural parasites, I think are going to be attempted. If we can Yamato the Terran units, yes, dude. Yamato your own units. Okay, he decides to jump them a little bit closer by. This is the way that he can prevent them from escaping. Does he have... No, the weapon refit isn't done yet. Okay, it's finishing up right now. This does mean that all of these BCs are gonna get sniped, though. Wonderful move right here by our Terran play... Or by our Zerg player, rather, who, you know, turned into a Terran there momentarily. Really nicely done here by him. That is not an easy move to pull off. It's not rocket science, but you do need to know the Terran's hotkeys as well, right? It's one of those things that is very easily forgotten about. You have to be quick on your hotkeys and your buttons in order to pull that move. Okay, these guys are gonna escape. Cicada still has moments here where he's looking really strong. Honestly, I think he actually would have been in a fantastic position if he didn't split his attention between so many different unit comps for such a long time. At this point, I don't really see how he's going to be able to win this. Although I say that, Terran's got very little gas. He's got 6,700 minerals here. But what's he going to make? Mass Hellion? It would be nice to make maybe a round of Marines, but I mean, he doesn't really have the production for that, right? I think we're still on just a single Rex. Yeah, we are. These units over here also getting neuraled. Lovely work right here by Cicada. Cicada actually, so I see, I've watched a lot of Florencio games over the years. A lot of people lose to Florencio's style because he is just confusing them so much, right? There's a lot of Diamond League players out there that are actually very good in certain parts of the game. So for example, there's a lot of guys, the majority of the guys I would say, are pretty good in straight up games, in straight up macro matches. But as soon as the game gets a little bit funky, they completely lose track of what, well, roughly they quote-unquote should be doing, right? And Cicada has actually done an excellent job in that department. I think he just has gotten a little bit carried away with all of the different varieties of units. I mean, it started with that Spire. I really didn't like that one at all. The Spire there super early on, then no money for Mutas, and then into the Hydras and the Lurkers, and then, you know, we had like 4 Lurkers and we went into 4 Brute Lords, something along those lines. It's just a little disorganized. And I understand where he comes from, because he's like, okay, in this position I need Lurkers, and in this position Mutas would be sick, and now I need Brute Lords, right? But oftentimes just focusing on a basic unit composition is the right call to make. Hellions here being annoying. What sort of army does he actually have? So there's 4 battle cruisers. These siege tanks have been here for ages. The same for these Widow Mines. This is actually not a particularly great unit composition anymore for the Mind's Eye. Problem is that there's 6 drones. Yeah, this is not a particularly beefy Zerg economy, to say the least. There's a lot of Lurkers sprinkled around the map right now. So we're mostly just using these to prevent those run-bys. It's a few more Hellions going down, but I've got a feeling that Florencio can afford remaking those. It's important, though, that you're not going to throw away your units down this ramp. Cicada actually doesn't really get baited into that. A lot of players have found when they... Okay, no. I was just going to compliment you for it. Okay, good. A lot of players, when they get to, you know, these really fatiguing and tiring games, at some point they'll be like, okay, you know what? Screw this. We're going down the ramp. Tonight we dine in hell, right? That sort of thing where they will just... Don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't dine in hell, Cicada. He's gonna dine in hell. Okay. Well, I was gonna say, don't, you know, feed the Terran meat grinder. He just lost half of his expensive units here. Give or take half. The Battlecruiser army, though, is still looking pretty scary, and I actually like the addition right here of the Raven as well. Right-clicked onto the BC. I don't think there's actually enough Corruptors available anymore. No, and he's not going to be able to afford them either. BCs? Really? He could have easily taken that fight. Especially if he would have had upgrade. Okay, sorry, I said I wasn't going to be mentioning it, but like... You know. You know what's funny to me? On Gressven in particular, this base over here is the pivotal one. This is basically always the 4th base of Terrans, which then allows them to planetary fortress up the left side as well. Interestingly enough, this is the only base, the pivotal base, the most critical base on this map. That's the only base that Florencio hasn't been mining. I guess this one also hasn't been taken under control, but... He's been taking the more tucked away positions rather than the ones that are easier to acquire. Okay. I think we are currently witnessing a Zerg player slowly dying. It's a sad moment. It started off with Bold Brenda. Brave Brenda. Whatever her name was. Another tactical nuke over here. We're just gonna nuke this base to death. One more. Ah, the Ghost doesn't have energy anymore. Yeah, I don't see how Zerg is going to be able to counter this. We've, you know, had the Spire apparently lost inside of the main base. And I think at this moment... that is so not worth. Anyways, at this point, the tech here is in trouble. The couple Corruptors show up. I could have... I think you could have just rapid-fired your Yamato gun right here on all of these Corruptors, and at that point, everything else is gonna get cleaned up, no? I guess there's still a lot of Queens available. Queens have some pretty formidable anti-air, but at this point, we're talking 9 battlecruisers. Or as they say in Germany, 9 battlecruisers. I think that's what they say. I spent a lot of time in Germany over the last week, guys. Man, all of that hard work with the creep spread. You just, yeah, no, he doesn't want to take a fight because of those infestors, right? That move earlier, I think it's kind of scared Florencio a little bit, so he's only moving out as soon as he has the Yamato cannon available and as soon as he can tactically jump. Okay, oh, nuke on the Queens, not gonna connect. But honestly, I just don't see a way out for the Zerg. He does have a little bit of money once again. He's long distance mining one of those bases. We're gonna need to hit a couple of really good neural parasites in order to obtain the victory here. And Terran still has so much money in the bank There is no way that this is not going to result in a loss. There we go. Now we're gonna go for some Yamato cannons on all of these units. Yeah, what? Just stay! Just... Whoa. You see that neural parasite? Anyways, I think you could scan and just kill everything here. EMP, maybe? Not a luxury? Okay, eventually EMPs do go down. And all of this is basically coming at the cost of some dead infestors here. The battle cruisers once again, okay, available. They're not scared anymore. They're big boys battle cruiser, okay? They're not big boys. They're kind of scared. They don't have tactical jump available. They don't have the Yamato cannon available either. So he decides to back up one more time. GG though. Is called here in the end. And it's Florencio who obtains the victory. Alright, so I just want to simulate that fight again that we had earlier on in that game. I just want to show you the strength of upgrades, okay? So we've got 100 Zerglings here in total. 100 Zerglings, 8 Thors, 2 Hellbats, and then 1 Viking. And I've decided to go for this particular map layout so we can park the Terran army here on the ramp to sort of, you know, at least get a decent idea of what this engagement looked like. So the Zerglings have Adrenal Glands, but nothing more than that, okay? Let's just attack move. Oh, I actually didn't give them link speed. Should probably be giving them Zergling speed. That would probably help. Anyways. Slowly but surely, the links are nibbling through all of these Terran units, right? Which really shouldn't be happening. Now, this was definitely at a point in the game where Terran could have had 3-3 done. And I basically just want to do the same engagement again, but this time around by giving the Terran player +3/+3. That's the only difference. So I'm gonna hide these units over here. We're gonna hide these units up here. I'm not gonna give them link speed here because, well, I forgot it previously. I don't really feel like doing this whole thing all over again. Okay, so we're gonna once again position the Terran army here on the ramp. So the only difference here is that Terran now is +3/+3. Go, 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 go. Little Zerglings. Are you seeing this? This goes from Zerg winning the fight to Terran not losing a Thor. I know I hammer upgrades a lot in my games, man, but that was insane. Now that maybe that engagement wasn't as flawless as it could be, okay? Maybe I should give the links link speed as well, and I think I accidentally started that fight a little too early. So let's do it again, just because I know there's gonna be a few of you that are like, Lowko, but it wasn't identical. Fair enough. You guys go over here, you guys go over here. Lent the Viking. You gotta go, yeah, you guys hang out over here, and then we're gonna attack. Maybe it was just bad luck, you know? Maybe it was just bad luck. Now, Zergling speed is definitely gonna make a difference because a lot of those links in the back are gonna have an easier time to get to the front, but you see what I mean? Upgrades are good. I mean, upgrades are good. All right, so I know that this is already a rather long video, but you know what? Let's have a look at the other 2 replays that Florencio sent over as well. I know there's gonna be some Florencio connoisseurs watching this video, and personally, I am curious to find out what he's been cooking up with Protoss. So in the top right-hand corner, we're looking inside of the main base of the Dank one, which is the only Protoss player in these replays twice. So, or, you know, in each of the 2 replays that are still left over, there's a player called the Dank one. So I'm gonna make the assumption that this is Florencio's account. And his opponent in his Protoss versus Terran played in Diamond League. He goes by the name of ROV. ROV. Okay. So far, other than the pylon positioning, this isn't all too crazy. Got a probe on the other side of the map. Fair enough. We're just waiting for when the game gets kind of weird, right? So are we gonna go for an expansion, you think? Yes, I think we are. Jimmy the Marine could have... Well, what did he kill? Oh, there were 3 probes sent out at the start of the game. Okay, I see. 1 probe, though, is still available over here. I have seen... This is a Florencio classic. I think this is a Florencio classic anyways. So he's going for the Warp Gate upgrade, and I think what he's gonna do is build a Nexus inside of his opponent's main. I have seen him do this a few times before in the past, and this is actually a really, really clever opener. It's one of those... It's one of those builds that just catches Terrans off guard entirely. I think this was played in the GSL as well at some point, where a Protoss player managed to pull a similar trick. So the thing about the Nexus, right, is that it always spawns with... It always spawns with 50 energy. Oh my god, if he builds a structure right there... I probably would have seen it. Anyways, it spawns with 50 energy, which is enough for a recall. So if you just make a whole lot of units, you can just recall into your opponent's main base. Which is actually surprisingly scary. You can just wall yourself in entirely. The only problem here is that Terran units, well, their structures at least, they can fly. We already saw some of that in the previous game too. What is ROV doing here for the time being? Not really a whole lot. Shield batteries coming up already. Let's see. I haven't seen this build in ages. I think the last time I saw this was when Florencio did it, which, you know, probably about a year ago. A year is ages in StarCraft 2 terms. Okay, here's the recall. So suddenly... Oh no! They're stuck! Cancel. Okay. Are they still stuck? Okay. That would have been a problem. That would have been embarrassing. I actually think if those units would have gotten stuck, there's no way he would have submitted this replay to me. That would have been so funny, though. Okay, are we gonna commit? No, I don't think you want to commit, man. I think you want to just sit over here in the main base. You can warp in reinforcements now. Yeah. Cheeky little game. Yeah, just kill the main base. It might be important, though, to still expand after this. So, the Marines, do they... Yeah, wait, what? We're rushing out combat shields? It's a little bit funky. Okay, well, they have been baited out. Oh, you could have easily committed that. They don't have Stimpack, which is a bit funny. I think maybe Florencio is thinking that they could have Stimpack as well. For some reason, ROV is prioritizing combat shields, which is a good upgrade, don't get me wrong. Is he gonna commit now? Oh my god, he is gonna commit. That siege tank is gonna kill a bunch of its friendlies. I actually think the commitment earlier would have been better. Now there's another tank on the high ground too. Sniping the Marines is way more important. ROV has now seen a Proxy Nexus. Oh my god. Does he still play with the Diva announcer? That one's been imba for years. Amazing. Battery overcharge? That's so stupid. I would have liked to see the adept stick around there rather than shade away, though. That would have been funny. Battery overcharge inside of the opponent's main base. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that. That is clever. Siege tank over here in old world of trouble right now as well. But you know what? Combat shields have finished. And that actually makes these Terran units not really that, weak anymore, right? I mean, they suddenly get additional hit points. Turns out they had a combat shields in their back pocket this entire time. Okay. Shield battery once again available. Overcharge though is not gonna be allowed here for another while because it's a pretty long cooldown. Okay. Terran though is starting to fall apart here as far as the resources go, right? Oh, you didn't need to commit there either. I think the adept shading could be optimized a little bit. Yeah. So is this game just gonna go on with shades going around and everything dying to the Proxy Nexus? The Marine count is kind of scary though. If Terran decides to split up their units at some point, which I don't know if they will because they're moving everything around in one big ball this entire game long so far, but if you were to do so... Hey, splitting them up! No, you do need to split them up a little bit further than that though. Maybe a bunker in the main base wouldn't be hurting either. Maybe salvaging these two bunkers at the front would probably be a good idea. Anyways, this ain't it, no. If you could clean up the Nexus, I think the counterattack could actually be kind of scary, because there's not really that much available here for Florencio to deal with that. I mean, he's gonna just warp in more and more adepts, I guess. Maybe Stalkers? Not a bad idea. But I think this game is probably going to conclude with adepts murdering everything. They're just shading back and forth and back and forth. This is a painful game for Terran. This would be the type of game, especially in Diamond League, where I do think we can expect a little bit of BM. Anyways, the Marines here eventually do... I haven't seen this game, but yeah, this is what I'm saying, man. This is a frustrating one. Alright, one more. But once again on Ancient Cistern, Florencio in the top right-hand corner, and this time around his victim in the opposite corner. Playing with the blue Protoss pieces, we have a reality. Okay, what is going to be the strategy this time around? How long is this video going to be, by the way? I feel like it's at least an hour already. Maybe I'm mistaken, I don't know. I've been recording for an hour and 15 minutes, but I had a phone call in the middle of it. Well, in between, you know, game 1 and game 2. So maybe it's not actually that long of a video yet, but I feel like I've been casting these games for ages. Anyhow, what's the strategy? What are we gonna do? Gas first with a pylon in the back. I don't think that's ideal. Oh no. Another classic. Another classic. That's why we made the Kijkwijzer. I love this build so much. This is one of those cheeses that you will never see at the pro level. But this looks to the opponent like a scouting worker. Does reality realize that this is not a scouting worker, but about a dozen probes stacked up on top of each other? That's why the Kijkwijzer was taken there. That Kijkwijzer allows you to group up those units very, very cleanly. If you look carefully though, you can see that something's a bit cursed. Some of those units are not quite as clean there. Okay, so... Ooh, scouting worker comes in. Forge over here together with a... okay, whoa, that's weird. How did that probe suddenly make a copy of itself? I think he's gonna harass the workers. Yep, he's gonna harass the workers. Protoss immediately freaking out here. Protoss in blue, that is. He should have the superior worker numbers, though. I mean, I say that, at least over here inside of the main base. There are new probes building here for Florencio at home, but he doesn't have a gateway. He doesn't really have anything. Okay. Zealot in the mix, though, is kind of nuts. Yeah, no, Zealot in the mix here is kind of overpowered, right? I don't think that really does very well in these probe battles. But at the very least, you know what? All of this Protoss economy here in blue has been, well, shut down for quite a long time. Can you recall these probes? Actually, I think if you recall them, you're fine. If I think recalling them, he wants to get a few more kills. I think recalling them is probably your best bet. He's making a forge at home in the meantime. Maybe recalling is not your best bet, actually. Oh, really? We're gonna try and kill... Okay, we're gonna... Okay. I mean, if you recall, maybe you do have a bigger worker count, right? But the problem is that there's so much more tech already available here. Yeah, he does recall them eventually. There's already so much more tech available right now, though, for reality. So if he just expands and, yeah, makes a few adepts and goes across the map, it's gonna be hard to really... Okay, so photon cannon coming up right here for the Dank one. Which is an interesting move. There's still one probe that snuck away. I didn't even notice it. There's still a probe that snuck away, and he's kind of rushing the Protoss here from inside their own base. Reality is gonna see a random pylon, though. Gateway coming up as well. Fair enough. That's the first gateway, by the way, that he's got. Another probe has been split off from the pack to go towards the top left-hand corner. Okay, photon cannons, number 2, 3, and 4. Building here as well. Reality, no, reality, oh no, he's starting to think. This is a Terran player, or sorry, a Protoss player that's thinking. That's the worst thing you can ever do to a StarCraft 2 player, man. Don't think while you play. Just execute. This is where a lot of those games... Oh, he's stealing Kijkwijzers now too? Fantastic. This is where a lot of these games get a little bit nuts, though, because it's really hard to actually decide what to do. You could quite literally see the gears turning inside of the heads of those Protoss units there. The Dank one, stealing gases, denying bases. And probably, I guess, going for a Proxy Nexus of his own. Oh no, 2 more gateways, or sorry, 2 more pylons coming up here as well. 3 more pylons coming up here as well, 4 more pylons. I mean, that is one way to deny a base. Just deny the entire mineral line. In the end, though, I do believe that this is not going to work out. Nah, I think it's about time that that probe cancels. Okay, well, the probe is dead. I've got a feeling that maybe canceling these pylons would not be a bad call either. A good old cannon rush. I mean, bit of a funky one, though, but I guess we can call this a good old cannon rush. Alright. Additional photon cannons coming up at home. preventing the Protoss here in blue to go for a counterattack, right? They can't really get a whole lot done here. Warp gates are going to finish up. We haven't had a Stargate or a robot. Like, we have got nothing here. So, Reality definitely trying his very best to stabilize. Since he doesn't have any gas income here, he can't really afford much, well, other than like a few adepts maybe here. Maybe a Stalker and an adept, but that's really about it. Actually, no, I was looking at the wrong gas count. He can barely afford an adept at this point. Anyways, there's definitely not going to be a Stargate here anytime soon. I wouldn't mind it though. I actually like this move. Yeah, just taking another expansion here a little bit further up north. Sure, it does feel very exposed, but a cannon rusher never really has a whole lot of tech. Cybercore, as a matter of fact, only just now about halfway done right here, nearly 6 minutes into this game. Nexus indeed building in the top left-hand corner, and this is one of those spots that, in a chaotic game like this, I mean, honestly, in a normal game, it's already unlikely that Protoss is going to check this spot, but in a chaotic game like this one, I don't think we're really going to see this base getting scouted anytime soon. Okay, Reality is going to find out the reality of this game. Oh, well, never mind. He's found out after the Adept died, which is a little sad. Sentry coming up inside of the main base, by the way, over Reality. Not exactly sure what the Sentry is going to achieve here. Robo facility in the meantime at home together with a gateway too. So I do think Florencio is gonna sort of give up on this location. I don't like the Sentry here though. He can warp, I guess, a few of those sentries in and then block the other units on the ramp, but... Okay. Reality trying to retake his own main base. We're gonna need to see a little bit of micro, though, to pull this off, but eventually... Yeah, this is all gonna get shut down. Can we see another recall, please? I don't think that would be a bad idea. Maybe wait for the other sentry to come out and then recalling these units. I think that's the move. Yep. Getting them on out of there. Bringing them back to the safety of the main. The main that they don't even know. They were born on the other side of the map. This is what a Protoss city looks like. Yeah, they're mesmerized right now. They've never seen something as beautiful as this. A pyramid? Okay. Nexus in the top left-hand corner is done. A robo facility now producing an immortal. Alright. Gonna speed up the game a little bit because I don't believe we're gonna really see a whole lot of action here for at least a bit. Because neither player really has an army. And now that the other side of the map has been... Oh, Hallucinated Oracle. That's kind of cute. But there should be plenty of Stalkers available. He's mostly just scouting here. The probes were pulled away there from the mineral line. Mostly because he thought that it was a real Oracle. Okay, pylon and a shield battery here at the front. And another Nexus. Retaking the old main base. Blink starts up right now, but... A massive hallucinated army is moving towards the bottom section of this map. Reality already fell against the hallucinated Archon, or sorry, the hallucinated Oracle earlier. Now he's forced to fight this though. There are a few of those immortals that are real, and they are absolutely tearing through all of these blue Protoss units. An hallucinated army is not something we see all too often, but yeah, it works out brilliantly in this particular game. You must realize though that there's not enough units, yeah, really dealing damage here, or not enough firepower coming out of that red force. In the end, it was really only a few zealots, a few sentries, and a few immortals. Still, ooh, the one pylon to bind them, and in the darkness, well, power all of these structures. It does get shut down. Observer in the main base sort of sees what's going on. Zealots over here on the right side of the map as well also see what's going on. Yeah, without any immortals of his own, great force field right here by Florencio. Without any gateway and robo units of his own, I don't think that Protoss in blue here is gonna hold on. And it's indeed Florencio who obtains the victory.